Welcome back, sports gurus, to yet another one-on-one sports webcast. I'm Jake Soder.
And I'm Matt Dowdle. From the never-ending drama in New York to drug testing in golf. We have plenty of things to talk about, so let's get things started.
The north side of Chicago may see some unusual changes occur in the near future, as reports out of the Cubs organization make it clear that the team plans to move in one of two directions, either renovate Wrigley Field or move to another stadium entirely. That being said, should they renovate Wrigley Field?
You know, to me, when things get old, they're bound to have to change. And after 100 years, change needs to happen. I don't think they should move the field. That's awful. You know, Wrigley Field has always been a place where a lot of tourists want to come, whether they really want to see the game or not. I do think renovation is necessary, though. It has to happen. I mean, it's an old park. Change happens. It's inevitable.
100%. And looking at an example, the Red Sox renovated Fenway Park a couple years ago, and look how it's turned out for them.
Exactly.
Millions of dollars in revenue have come in. The Cubs can do the exact same things as the Red Sox did. The Red Sox applied for a designation by the Registry of Historical Places, which garnered them $40 million in revenue just from doing that. It'll generate money that the team can put into the team and buy players with it. It'll help the team. It'll help create an atmosphere around the team that the fans want to see.
Exactly. In terms of baseball, the ultimate point of the sport is to win the sport. Hopefully, if you renovate the stadium, it brings in a few more players. Hopefully, the Cubs actually get somewhere when it comes to the postseason.
The only thing that's going against it right now is the people who are around Wrigley Field do not want the renovation to happen for obvious reasons.
Buy yourself a ticket.
Exactly.
Just in case you're running low on your New York Jets drama, the team drafted diva quarterback Geno Smith, and it's now subject to what should be an interesting quarterback battle heading into training camp. So, Jake, who's going to come out on top?
Well, I think if Geno Smith does come out on top, it's only to appease the fans. I don't think he's going to win the job outright. You have David Garrard in there. You have Mark Sanchez. I think if Sanchez wins it, it'll be because Rex Ryan's still there. It's still his guy.
Exactly. No, I agree with that.
But I think David Garrard's going to win.
Really?
I really do. I think the veteran presence that he brings to the team is going to stabilize them. It's something that they need to move forward. You need a veteran presence to lead this team of pretty much all young guys who haven't really proven themselves. You need that guy at the helm.
I got to disagree with you. I think David Garrard is 35 years old. He hasn't thrown a ball since 2010. And for me, Geno Smith, he may take over midway through the season, but he has enough baggage emotionally. He's not going to start the season. I think Sanchez is going to get the start. I think he, like Rex Ryan, is the captain of the ship. His first mate is Sanchez. They're going to crash and burn together, but that'll be at the end of the season. At the start, Sanchez will have the job.
Fans will not be happy about it, but I agree. I would not be surprised if Sanchez is the guy. Professional golfer Greg Norman has recently spoken out against the procedures for drug testing on the PGA Tour, even going as far as to call it disgraceful. Norman has made it clear that drug testing in golf should mean no different than any other sport, and thus should require golfers to undergo blood tests as a routine procedure to ensure that the sport's free of cheating. What do you think about this?
I think it's a foul. Personally, golf is held to a different level of respect than every other sport. It's not your NBA, it's not your NFL. I don't see why you need to change the drug testing system here. It's a gentleman's game.
Why is golf held to a higher regard than every other sport? It shouldn't be. It should be held to the exact same standards. It is a professional sport. These are professional athletes. Why should they have to go through any other?
It's the only sport that really requires people to dress in polos and dress nicely to go watch it. It's held to a different level. It's a gentleman's game.
You're saying they shouldn't be subjected to blood tests just because they dress nicely?
That, and what difference does it really make if a guy uses some sort of performance-enhancing drug? Tell me who has really had that big of a change?
You should have a standard of no cheating. Professional performance-enhancing drugs should not be in professional sports. You should have that standard across professional sports, and blood testing is the only way to ensure that you have that.
I don't believe that needs to be the case in golf. If you look at, unless Tiger Woods is the one using it, in which case then I can understand his performance being fantastic. No one else who possibly could have used it has clearly made that strong of an impact based on their drugs. No one.
Look, that may be the case, but it should be not held to a higher standard than any other sport. It's just a fact. They should be held to the same standard.
Until it makes a difference, I'm happy with where it is now. Chris Paul's season in LA has come to a close with a Game 6 ejection and a first-round departure from the playoffs. While some will focus on what the team lost, most of us are focused on what Chris Paul will do heading into the summer. Now, if he chooses to leave LA, Jake, where will he end up?
Well, this is a little bit of wishful thinking. It seems that the Charlotte Hornets may come back to Charlotte, in which case I would say, Chris Paul, go home. He was born and raised in North Carolina. It'd be a great place for him to play. But since that hasn't happened yet, I'm going to say the New York Knicks. Because you have two teams in the East right now, I think, that can compete with the Miami Heat on a regular basis. One's the Chicago Bulls, the other is the New York Knicks. The Bulls already have a point guard. If Chris Paul goes to the Knicks, if they shed some of that salary cap room they have,
that's a big
they can compete.
To me, that's a big if. They have to shed a lot of salary in order to get a guy like Chris Paul into New York. For me, it's a team like Indiana. They, on the other hand, have the salary cap room, especially if they let go of Danny Granger, who can be inevitably replaced by Paul George at this point. And to me, beyond New York, beyond Chicago, Indiana is the closest team to contending to Miami, let alone anyone else in the NBA for a title, and that is what Chris Paul wants right now. They need a point guard. You came up with Roy Hibbert, David West, his old teammate, and Paul George. That's a very,
if you're
very
his
good team.
agent, you're honestly going to tell Chris Paul to go to Indiana as opposed to a big market like New York?
Charlotte?
Oh, but like New York, though. New York is a huge market. I would push him there as opposed to a market like Indiana where he's coming from L.A.
To me, he's already in a big enough market right now, and if that's not good enough to keep him there and he does decide to leave, I don't think the market's going to play a big factor. I think it's the winning that he truly wants.
I think it's about winning, too, and I think he's got the best chance with New York, but that's just me. The clock has run out on this block, but do not go anywhere as two of our resident experts will come up next to discuss more of the hot topics in sports today. Stay tuned.